Dustin, are you there, bro?
Yes, sir. Sorry we took so
Everybody?
long. We're here now.
We here, loud and proud. And guys, as you join in, go ahead and make sure you hit the 10K crappie connection for me, and we'll get today's bite going. Isn't that right?
You dang right. Guys, round of applause for Brad here. He really had to scramble and get you guys on. So I'm proud of him. We're here. He don't got no baits, no colors, nothing to show you, but we're live and we're here and I got him covered. So whatever y'all want to see, you let him know and I'll get you. I'm also slacking and can't read the comments, so he's going to have to help us all out today.
You know, internet is something else. It's great when it works great, but when it don't, it's a pain in the butt.
Just like fishing.
Just like fishing.
Just like fishing. It's great when it's great, but when it's not, it's a pain in the butt.
As you guys join in, go ahead to hit the 10K crappie connection. There you go. I see Tony Skeen, James, Charles Henderson.
Charles, there he is.
Mitch, Chad Wright. Guys, I can tell you, it's been hot. So has it been that hot over there in Oklahoma?
Not too bad. We got a spree of hot weather last week, but today was about 65, 70. It was perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, it's been, the last 2 days has been in the 90s.
Woo. Yeah, we had a couple of days like that. And it was muggy. It was real muggy here the last couple of days with humidity, so it made it feel a lot hotter than it was.
What's up, John Mayo?
We've also been getting a lot of rain, too.
You know, it's thundering outside right now. I think, you know, you don't even need a sprinkling system. All you got to get ready is for when I'm getting ready to do a live. And, you know,
just turn on the live and you'll get that rain, won't you?
Yeah, that's right. But
we need some fishing reports to come up here too. I got to hear of these lakes and what they're doing. Are they in that summer pattern yet, or are we still post spawning?
You know, last week I went to Grenada.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting to hear for this.
I fished Grenada last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and had Carlos in the boat with me Wednesday, and he already had some fish located, and he was willing to go take me to him to fish them. And I said, man, I want us to go out there and let me just go experiment and try to find fish on my own with, you know, any part of the lake.
That's pretty cool.
I started out up in Perry Creek. A lot of guys that fish Grenada know what I'm talking about. Went up Perry Creek and found some really good fish up there. Not a boat. I didn't see a boat all morning up there. We did. There was some fish suspended. We caught, I don't know, 10, 15 up there in Perry Creek. And I said, well, let's go try somewhere else. And they said, all right. And we went up towards Turkey Schooner and found some fish. First fish I dropped on was probably the biggest fish I've seen in a couple of years. Had him hooked and got him right to the top of the surface. Come off. We shot a really good video. It's going to be real good. We've got it to Hunter, so he's starting the editing process on it. And but it's live scoping, open water, Grenada Lake crappie, and let me tell you, it was a blast. And went back and fished the next 2 days and did some stuff with crappie now, and got to do a lot of tips and tricks with those guys, with Dan Mueller, and man, Kirby Ham was there, and we had an absolutely ball.
So you ended up scoping, so they were still suspended at Grenada real well like that?
Yeah, and they were really aggressive.
Wow.
And today's bait of the week, like we're going to talk about tonight, Kyle watched us on TikTok. He'll testify. Oh, there they are.
Yes, sir. Mayflies.
We took out the Mayflies, and I used that bait. Used it, and it's today's bait of the week, of course, and I'll get into some details about what we got going on with Bobby Garland with that. But it worked really well at Grenada for me, and come back, and I've got it on the Ross Barnett the last 2 days. And I started out yesterday, you know, without being on lake for the last 10 days, and looked at things and really didn't see a whole lot of fish just in concentrated areas. And finally yesterday afternoon, it kind of clicked on me. And I And I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, and I actually had a lot of people message me and text me about what I said about the breeder stumps. I went back and actually looked for breeder stumps today on Ross Barnett, and they are absolutely loaded with fish still spawning. And I used Mayfly up front and casted the itty bit slab hunter on the backside of them. And even had the client catch 2 at a time on casting out to them.
Wow.
We had that happen 2 different times today.
So those fish are really aggressive.
Yeah. If you can find a breeder stump, and my buddy or client or what have you that fished with me today, Chad Reinwalk, he asked me about that because I said, look, well, I'm going to really just look for what I call breeder stumps. And he's like, I've never heard that terminology before. And I was like, it seems to me when we get towards the end of the spawn, at least here on Barnett, and like some other guys said, they kind of saw it across the country as well. But I really start concentrating to breeder stumps, and it's these last very key pieces of structure that these crappie like to spawn on. And those will be hot, I believe, here for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Now, they're not everywhere, and you have to really look for them. But if you can find them, man, the crappie are all over them.
That is awesome.
And really aggressive. So we sat back today. Was the first day that I actually casted 2 crappie on stumps. And like I said, we had 2 different times that Chad caught 2 at a time on one pole.
Jiminy Christmas.
So it was real fun. I mean, it's real fun for everybody to do. And it's probably a lot more relaxing to me because most of these stumps are in 10 to 12 foot of water. And yeah, Tony, I'm burnt. But
yeah, I was going to say, it looks like it was hot because you look sunburned.
Oh, it's been hot. And I've been waiting for this. This is my time of the year. This is the way I really like it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been my today's bite as far as reservoir and even Grenada Lake. Those fish at Grenada are definitely all post-spawn. Everyone I caught, I would consider completely post-spawn. And like I said, these fish on the reservoir, we're still, if you can find the breeder stumps, they're still spawning out here. And there's some post-spawn fish starting to get on brush and standing timber. But the hottest bite for me is still the breeder stumps.
Yeah. So for Grand Lake, my today's bite is dang near the same thing as last week. You can catch them a few different ways, but 99% of our fish are also post-spawn already. Everything just went a little quicker this year than it did last. And I don't know if it's because we didn't get the rain we usually get. Not very murky water. The clear water had something to do with it. But it's been a funky year for Grand on the pattern that I usually fish. So my summer pattern places are starting to hold them already, and none of them are holding eggs. So I'm going out mainly towards, I don't know, like I said, it's such a scattered pattern. I've had a lot of people ask me for the tournament coming up this weekend on there, where to look. And it's like, there's nowhere not to look because everywhere has I guess, transition of a fish. It's like you have post spawn, you have summer fish, they're all doing 3 or 4 different things right now. So they're not all just congregated to one pattern, and you can catch big fish in all 3 of those patterns too. So, gosh, I think my best bite though probably is deeper water, just suspended schools of fish still, and maybe in 20 to 30 foot of water, suspended 10 foot or so.
Are they spawned out, or are they some mixed in?
No, I think all of them are spawned out. I haven't pulled any. Now, I will say the blackfish, a few of the blackfish I've caught, the big ones still have eggs in them. But other than that, all of our fish are spawned out mainly. And they're starting to get super aggressive. Like it's almost like there's a time between your spawn and summer, like your post-spawn fish. It's like post-spawn fish will turn it on. But when you get in the dead of summer, they start getting a lot more finickier. But right now they're chomping. They've got that post-spawn bite. It's like they're all dwindled down and skinny, and they're really aggressive now, trying to fatten back up. So that's kind of how Grand's fishing right now. You can catch them on brush, docks, and roaming. So all 3 different ways. I don't know. This weekend, like I said, I've had a lot of people asking me about the tournament. I have no idea what to expect anymore. We've kind of learned local knowledge means nothing with our new technology. So all these guys are great fishermen. They're all going to come out here and find fish. So it's not like I'm going to know anything they don't. So the local knowledge has kind of been thrown out the window, we've noticed on all these tournaments. So I don't expect to just go out here and blow everybody out. So it'll be kind of fun to see what happens. And I'm curious to see what kind of weights get pulled out of Grand. But my guess, if I had to guess, Grant, I'd say 10 to 11 pounds. If you caught 10 to 11 pounds, you ought to be in the running for sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm on. Carlos is on here now. He said Brad tried to boat flip a post spawn 3-pounder, and that's probably pretty accurate. And lost. It was a giant, and Kyle he was watching on the TikTok live while we were doing it, and yeah, I almost puked. I'm not gonna lie, it was a
dang, that would have been epic. A post spawn 3-pounder. I may have cried for you,
dude. It was a absolute giant.
Okay. The giants always get away.
And that's how it happens to me. That's the story of my life.
Yeah. Hey, last week, today's bite, we're talking about those shell crackers and brim. I got into them today, too. Went out and spent the time with the wife, and we whacked some big old shell crackers, ready or whatever you call them. So that was a blast, too. Finally got that out of my system.
You know, I'm going to go back and answer this question, and it's actually from Reggie Hillman. It goes back up, and I try to hit these questions as I see them. But it's how do you identify breeder stumps? And, you know, I would think every lake's a little bit different, but these breeder stumps it's just really key pieces of structure. And to me, it's the perfect piece of structure for fish to really spawn on. Most of these breeder stumps, as I call them, are sitting on ledges, and they're really big. I mean, they're really big and gnarly and have a lot of root systems off of them. You can see them on your live scope, how the arms kind of stretch off. And more than likely, cypress stumps looks like to me. And they're not everywhere. And you might pass up 10 other stumps that look really the same. But year after year, in the last, I guess this would be my 3rd or 4th year with live sonar, I've started to identify what I would call these breeder stumps. And, you know, towards the mid portion of May all the way to the 1st of June, these breeder stumps will be hot. And you'll cover a lot of water going to some stumps have 2 or 3 fish, but if you can find these breeder stumps, they're absolutely loaded with crappie right now. And they absolutely love these mayflies.
Yeah, that's right.
In the Cajun cricket.
Yeah, mayfly's definitely a good one. We shouldn't be very far out from our mayfly hatch. I know you said you already had them all loaded up out there. I'd say we're not far out. When that hits, it will be money.
Matt's saying the small lakes are done. The mid to larger lakes are still spawning in Iowa. I wonder how long does the spawn actually last up there, Matt? That'd be pretty good.
When's it start to finish there? I would be curious there as well. I just had a client from Iowa, actually, come down. We just had a great trip. So
appreciate everybody as you join in. Keep on hitting that 10K crappie connection. I seen those comments.
Hashtag
yeah.
10K crappie connection, boy.
That's right.
Y'all go look at GFB Outdoors too. Give it a little love. Don't just give all that crappie connection love. You got to give a GFB Outdoors a little love too. If you want to see big crappie connection will have you a little bit of crappie, but you want to see real tables of crappie, y'all go to GFB Outdoors and give it a little love.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, bugs are getting bad on the res. And I did a quick tip last week, and I know we talked about it before. Even Ken Robinson of Power Crappie even come back and make this comment. So, and I gave this tip to Crappie now this past Friday, and Tim Huffman, if you ever
is it time to break it out?
It's time to break it out. He asked me, he's like, "Do you have a very unique crappie tip?" And I said, "Well, I got one that you'll never believe."
He set that one up.
Yeah. And I said, well, here it is. And I pulled it out and I said, I'm not sponsored by it, but it's Victoria's Secret Amber Romance. Right now, when these, especially the biting gnats, that product right there has saved my sanity.
Yeah.
Is a good term. It saved my sanity a lot of days. But I will tell you, kind of a warning deal is make sure you let your wife smell it before you come back in the house, because you smell really pretty when you get home after wearing it all day. So you won't smell all musty or anything. You'll smell really sweet when you come home, but it actually keep the bugs off. That's guys, hilarious. Keep on giving those
I want to know how
fishing reports too.
I want to know how that came to be, like how we figured out Amber Romance was the money. I'm going to guess somebody took his wife out and they were fishing and he was just getting mauled by bugs. And she's
Yeah.
like, I haven't got a bite one. I haven't got bit by one. And he's like, well, you got to have something on. It's the only thing I can put together.
Lee Meeks still catching colored up males and stumps 8 to 11 foot of water south end of Kentucky Lake. Long line trolling. I like that, Lee. Keep them long lines rolling, fellas.
Yeah.
Brad Egger, he's asking a question here. Brad, good to see you on here, buddy. I know he's on here every week with us. Can you talk about the differences, advantages, disadvantages, in long line trolling versus pulling crankbaits this time of year? You know, to be honest with you, in my opinion, I can control these jigs and manipulate the action a little bit better than crankbaits. Crankbaits, you pretty much set your speed and let them roll. And to be honest, I don't feel like I lose as many fish off of jigs as I do crankbaits. And it may be the size of them or what have you, but it seems like a crappie, believe it or not, can throw a crankbait a lot easier than they can throw a jig in its mouth.
I would have never guessed that one.
Yep.
Wow.
Day in and day out, I think the percentages of lost fish once they hit the bait is probably 2 times higher on a crankbait compared to a
I'll be dang, that's crazy. Wow.
And that's just me pulling them from about the last 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
I think even crankbaits, I can get them in shallower water compared to crankbaits. I can get jigs in shallower water in the water column and everything else. Now, you can pull bandit, I guess, 100s and such, but I really like jigs a lot better, no matter really what times of the year. Draws big catfish. Hey, Tony Skeen, I see he's wanting to share my secret. You know, I know Tony's been wearing probably some Victoria's Secret beforehand, but, you know, this Amber Romance actually helps keep away the bugs, and that's the main reason, the only reason I wear it, but it actually works, guys, if you want to keep away the biting flies. But even on a serious note, and I see another comment here I'm going to get to, Brandon. As you're coming across here and you're watching us, no matter what platform it is, make sure you hit the follow and subscribe button. We do today's bite every Tuesday night, 7 p.m., sometimes a little bit late, depending on different circumstances or internet. But go ahead and hit the subscribe for us, especially you guys on YouTube. We want to help you guys learn more about crappie fishing, no matter what the technique is. And I want to touch back on another thing that I saw last week at Grenada Lake that I was really impressed with. Friday afternoon, Hunter and Kirby and I, we went down to the Spillway and watched some fishermen and even shot a little video. But a lot of guys down there are catching a lot of crappie below the Spillway right now, just
Really?
thick bobbers about 6 to 7 foot deep. And they were using Cajun crickets, just floating them on the edge, and they were whacking crappie down there. And it was 12 o'clock during the day, and it was hot as Hades.
So does that still have a 12-inch limit there down under the Spillway?
No.
Really? That's crazy. That is crazy. Wouldn't have guessed that either. I was wondering what they could keep, what the limits were under there.
But if you got questions about crappie fishing, no matter if it's fishing below a spillway, fishing a pond, we will get you the answers that you need and help you become a better fisherman. So ask them. There's no question that I'll look at you and say, man, this guy shouldn't be asking me this basic of a question, because you will not know unless you ask us. And I can promise you, just by the comments, and I know the people that are watching every night that we do this, that we've got some really good fishermen that help us out, even on the comments every week. And definitely appreciate all those guys, from, like I said, Carlos to, man, you name it, Tim to John Mayo to Chad Rogers. I mean, the list goes endless as far as the guys that help us out on the comments and helping each other out. John Lee, I mean, like I said, the list goes on. Brandon Thomas, I'm going to show he's got today's
my man.
He's
from around here, Brad, if you're wondering. That's one of my guys here.
You got a homie in the board. Huh?
That's
I like that.
Here. I've bet that fishing report, I can't read it. It's got to be either Hudson Lake or Spavinaw, something in that area. Let's see what he's got to say. Come on, Brandon.
All right. Still catch spawning crappie on Hudson on structure in 5 to 8 foot of water on Main Lake or up the river between Cabbage Hollow and Grand River Dam. What color and what kind of baits are you using there, Brandon? Let's get a little bit deeper in that. I know you got it.
I told you, Hudson Lake. He's been slaying some good fish on Hudson Lake. It's been showing out lately, so good work on that, Brandon. Thanks for the fishing report.
Talking about
5 to 8 foot. That's pretty.
We got another Wesley Miller. Like I said, that's another. I know he's been whacking them. Wesley and I Snapchat about every day fish and different lakes that he's fishing. So he's on them too. Wesley, let's see your fishing report over there, and the big Louisiana.
Big Sasquatch and big Louisiana. I'm pretty sure he cracked him today. I've seen a table full of them. If it was him, I see so many dang fish pictures now, it's hard to keep up. But I think he got on him today.
Let's see. Chris Garrett wants to know when you're going to put a new YouTube video out there, Dustin.
Ooh, that is a good question, buddy. I wonder which one the latest one is, but we've got some in the works. I've got to do some editing. I've been slacking. I've got to get going on it. So hopefully within the next week or so, we'll put another one up there. But yeah, been slacking, but I'm going to pick it up, get my tail out of the water and start shooting more videos. It's just so hard to carry that camera around and try to have fun and everything. It's just hard, especially when I'm with clients most of the time. But the days off, it's just tough. But I'm going to get it going. Stay with me.
All right, YouTube. High on Fire 420. Claymore Ulagai still have decent females coming in, hitting them on a 1/16 ounce white and gray hair jigs.
By golly. He said Ulagai?
Ulagai.
All right. Awesome fishing report, man. They've been catching the heck out of them there as well. So Ulagai's the last 2 years has been showing out some amazing numbers. And I think they're actually still catching them off the bank, unless that's what he said. But they're still spawning there pretty heavy.
I think we might have the person from the furthest distance just comment that I've ever seen on the Crappie Connection. I'm not joking.
Good.
Virgil from Manchester, England.
Wow. That's what I like. That's got a slang to it.
That, especially with a Mississippi slang, that's about the best I can do with that.
I'm so impressed you got it out.
I know. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of agreeing with me on as far as what I'm saying about the treble hooks being spit by crappie a lot of times.
Wow.
And especially a big fish, you've got to keep a lot of speed for that bait and keep that fish on top of the water. If they ever dive down and really be able to fight that crankbait, they'll throw them a lot of times.
And I wonder if it's got to do with when they're opening their mouth, there's no give on those crankbait.
Well, that, and you have that little bit of momentum in it. Man, they will.
Oh, yeah, and the crankbait's doing a little bit of shaking while it's getting cranked, so maybe that has something to do with it as well.
Here's a good question. Todd Jackson. Do you rig up your one-pole live scope rig the same way on any lake conditions, or do you change setup on lakes that have lots of structure, open water, and moss patches and such?
That is a really good question. I don't change on the lakes. I change on the depths of water. So if my fish are like 5 to 8 foot deep or really, really shallow, I may take the weight off and do something shallower if there's no wind or not strong wind, and you can really move your bait easier. I'll take that heavy weight off on top. But other than that, I kind of keep the same. If I'm long poling, a lot of times if it's brush, like he said structure, pole timber, I'm going to be long poling and dipping big weight, getting down on them quick and sniping them like that. But brush piles, I'll go to a shorter rod and I'll be pitching to them or dragging baits across them. But other than that, just the depth of water and wind is what I'd say I'd change my setup for. But lake to lake is the same. It's just the conditions of the weather is what I changed mine on.
You know, for me, I've been using, I guess, 6-8 months, something like that, 15-pound fluorocarbon. I did move up last week when I went up to Grenada to 20-pound, just in case I caught a monster instead of letting it go like I did, but
that didn't do you no good.
No, it didn't. But I like using that 15-pound. If I fished a really heavy structure, I think the 15-pound does everything I need it to do. I mean, either it's going to pull off, or if it's dug in deep enough, it's going to pop anyway.
Now, do you cast when you're casting the brush? What pound line do you use?
I use the same line that I use as far as I do long line, and I use a 6-pound mono. I want a little bit of give to it.
Yep.
So you can actually lay back and sit down on it. When I mean sit down on it, I mean actually set the hook on fish.
Set that hook, yeah.
Set the hook on them. So I want a little bit of stretch whenever I do cast to brush piles. And also I don't want it so strong that I actually would, when we hang up, because it's going to happen whenever you're casting a lot of brush piles, I don't want it to the point that I'm dragging the brush pile out of the ground or anything. So I want it to go ahead and snap.
Yeah.
So I like 6-pound. It's just what I'm really comfortable with. And anywhere from K9 to whoever else, Gamma, you name it. It's all
Mad fishing. Man, there's nothing worse than having a brush pile loaded with fish and sinking a hook right in the middle of that brush pile. That's the worst feeling, because you're about to send a school of fish off that brush.
I'm reading some of the comments. Mist or lotion? He's asking about the Emerald Romance, and it's the mist for me.
The mist for me.
Mist for me.
Oh my gosh! Somebody was looking it up online and needed to know what bottle to buy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've used. It's just kind of like a little squirt. Emerald Romance, Victoria's Secret stuff. You can get it off Amazon. I know Ken Robinson, he has some. If he's watching tonight, he can probably testify already about it as well.
Yeah, he had a couple in his suitcase he was trying to hide from me one day when we were at the hotel. And I thought, what do you got going on over there?
I also wanted to mention, while I'm thinking about it as well, we've got some brand new Crappie Connection caps. I don't know if they have them on the website yet or not, but they're navy blue with white writing on the Crappie Connection. They should be up there this week. They're really sharp
for shipment order. I haven't got them either, so I'm still.
I think your neighbor might have stole it from you.
Oh, I got you.
I think it's possible. But those should be out this week on their website. They're really cool looking hats. I should have one here any day now. James Rocco there, his wife's listening, and says she just go ahead and come out of the closet with that Victoria stuff. I tell you what, if you've been ever eaten up by the gnats like I have in the past, I wouldn't care what it smelled like, as long as it can eat up.
Oh man.
Fred Pittman, which he does a lot. He does the Delta crankbaits. He does a lot of really cool crankbaits. He's saying the KVD triple grip hook will improve your catch ratio over standard trebles on cranks. And now I've used those a little bit, but I just don't use them day in and day out, and just because they're pretty pricey.
Appreciate that tip, though. I bet Brad will put them on for that Grenada crankbait tournament.
Yeah, April and I, we're going to try to go up there and try to take.
Oh, you got the real tournament partner now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool. I was going to come, but whatever.
Hey, you put me off. I asked you on live last week.
I know it. Hey, if you want to win, you need to bring her anyway.
We're going to go up there.
Hey, good job.
All right.
Good moral support while you're there anyway.
John Mayo is saying come up to the wintertime and go snagging on the Spillway at Grenada. I've always seen those. That looks really fun. And I've always heard, I've had some buddies that live up there, and they would do it a lot. And they always told me the best time to go snagging is the coldest nights between like 12 and 3 a.m.
Wow.
The very best times to go snagging. John probably elaborate if they were right or wrong. And I mean, these guys, they would load the cooler up with them. But they would always say that was the best nights to go snagging is, after midnight, the coldest nights of the year.
I wonder if the reason the Spillway isn't the same rules is because they just pretty much write those fish off. I wonder, or something happens. Like, why is that such a different deal?
What's up, Stephen? Mark Payne, do you use weight in deep water? If so, what kind? And I'm assuming he's talking about live scope. You know, my standard weight that I use is a 1/2 ounce, just egg sinker, and anywhere from jig head sizes. Smallest I usually goes a 1/32 and up to a 1/8, somewhere in that neighborhood. That kind of depends on the jig body that I'm going to use as well. But I would use a 1/2 ounce. I would say up to about 17 foot deep, and then after 17, you probably need to step up a little bit heavier to get down quicker. The heaviest that I've ever used so far, and I don't chase down fish like a lot of these tournament guys do necessarily, but would probably be a 1/2 ounce, and it would have to be probably 25 plus for me to even use something that heavy. So me personally, I would stick to a 1/2 ounce to really get comfortable with that. And I think you'll be in pretty good shape. What about you there?
Yeah. I've chased some fish super deep, 50, 60 foot, and I still use a 1/2 ounce. So, yeah. And then maybe just throw like an 1/8 or the biggest jig you can get away with as well. But a 1/2 ounce weight above my jig is what I would throw, even on that deep water. If you have light enough line, a 1/2 ounce weight, when you cast that bad boy out there, it is going to shoot down there. Like, it gets down there quick. So,
is my phone up there, April?
I usually don't have too much of a problem with the 1/2 ounce.
Another thing I want to definitely let you guys in on. I had a few people ask me last week about the Mayflies, if we ever had any kind of discount codes on those. And I reached out to Bobby Garland this past week and asked him about that and said, hey, look, we've got some viewers that really want to try some and they want a little bit of discount. And I got back the response this morning that we do have you guys a discount code to LureNet for the Mayflies. It's 15% off all the way to Sunday night at midnight.
Wow. That's what I'm
talking about. You can buy as many as you want. And the discount code is today's bite 15. I'm going to double check.
Today's bite 15.
Today's bite.
With the Mayflies, guys. And if you don't know what a Mayfly is, I'm fixing to show you. I'm going to open this new pack here. This is a monkey milk Mayfly, and it is all closed up. Show you guys how she works.
Yep, show me how to get them out of the package. That can be a little tricky.
We peel this off here. It's just like almost a white bag, but you just break that. There's a little crack right there. It says open. I just break it with my finger, and then from the bottom, I'm going to push them jigs up out of these out of that crack, and one will usually just pop out.
Up a little. There you go.
Yeah, like that right there. It just popped out, and you just grab it. It's got that good sauce on it. They're full of all that juice.
Taste it real quick, Dustin. Let's
see.
Do it.
Sometimes I want to, but that's a Mayfly, guys. It's got the little wings on there. It is identical to a Mayfly. Last year we had a big hatch, and I caught a lot of crappie on the Mayfly, and I set the bait down. There was Mayflies landing on my fish on the table, so I set that down beside a Mayfly on a crappie. It was a pretty cool picture. But like I said, that's how you open these. They can kind of. A few people at Bass Pro were wondering, but you just line one up in that crack and push it through, and it'll pop out just like that. And then you just grab it and go with it. They stay closed. Pretty slick invention there. Awesome little bag. So you guys, today's bite 15 on lurenet.com and get you some.
All on Mayflies is good from now to Sunday night at midnight. So
15%. That's a good deal. Nowadays.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
That means what? How many packs you need to buy to get a free pack? About 10 or so?
Ooh, yeah. Now you're thinking. Yeah. So we need we've got all kinds of colors in it. So guys, when you get on that LureNet, just go through there. There's a list of them. But some of my favorite for Grand would be Blue Ice, Monkey Milk, and Mayfly. The color Mayfly is one of my favorites too. Spring Fling, Electric Chicken. Those are great colors. Great colors.
Cajun Cricket today was probably my hottest color. The week before last was when I was on the Barnett. And it was a real bright, slick day, and Spring Fling was my hottest color.
This is another good one here, fellas. We got a chartreuse red glitter. Look at that juice on her.
Mm-hmm. Taste it again.
That's a cold-blooded killer there, guys. If that ain't a bug, I don't know what is.
What color jig head is best for the Cajun cricket, in your opinion? I had the Ken Walker from YouTube.
That's a good question. I love to use a chartreuse or an orange. Just match one of those colors on it. But a chartreuse Crappie Pro jig head or an orange Crappie Pro jig head. And just so happens I have a chartreuse, but that's money to me. I just kind of try to match them up. I like just making them look good, but Crappie Pro jig heads fit them bad boys perfect, and the hookup ratio is really good for them. So let me just show you here.
Carl Dimon, do you like to dock fish in the winter?
Absolutely. If they're on them, I love dock fishing in the winter. We do a lot of it. But it seems like the wintertime, there's a lot more fish suspended out in open water than there is in docks. The spring, the fall, let's just say the spring and summer, they really load up on docks. But in the wintertime, I seem to catch more out suspended. And if there's a dock lake, I'm living on it. Grand Lake is full of docks. And the fish love them. And we have all kinds of different depths of docks, which really helps things.
Tommy asked me about doing some videos while I'm on the res. I did shoot a video 2 weeks ago while I was on the res. I had a no-show, no-call.
There you guys go. Orange head. That's that Crappie Pro on there. It doesn't
I shot a video on the res using the Mayfly and the spring fling color, and absolutely smoked them that day. And it's all in the editing process.
And on these Mayflies, the way I hook them, there's little eyes you can see on top. That's where I bring the hook out. So the hook comes out on the top, just like you would a baby shad. You can see the belly there. So just belly on bottom, head on top. Pretty simple. But I just go all the way down and pull it out right there at the base, just like a baby shad would.
There's Joey, Ryan Cox. Appreciate you fellas coming on in. Todd Smith, what graph has the best pixels to see a crappie jig? Small baits.
Garmin.
You know, I've used just about every one of the Garmins out there, from the 86 series to the Echo Map to every one of them, and I've never had an issue with any of the graphs. I always tell people, in my opinion, when they get ready to buy a live scope unit or a Garmin unit, is, get the biggest screen you can.
Yep.
Buy it one time, go ahead and spend the money on it. I think for the money between a 9 and 10, I would go ahead and splurge and get the 10. I think it has a lot of pixels in that picture compared to a 9-inch screen. Exactly. But I still would, even if I had to save another month, I think I'd wait and go ahead and try to get a 12-inch.
It's easier on the eyeballs, if anything, for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. But I agree with that. I'd say 50% or better of my clients, if I go on a live scope training trip or do anything like that, every time someone buys a 9-inch, you can guarantee within a year they're going to buy a 10 or 12. So they had to sell that 9-inch and buy a bigger unit. So it definitely is worth just saving up and trying to get the biggest screen you can. I would definitely agree with that.
Joey's spawning and post-spawning crappie in OKC area. Ryan Cox been on Columbus Lake, has been fun lately. What are you doing up there, Ryan Cox? See, there's Jolly. He's helping us out with those questions. I appreciate that. He kind of Brett Egger, fish in central Kentucky are in all phases of spawn. Our water just hit 70 degrees. Catching fish long lining, the fin spin. Still learning to pull the jigs. I cheat sometimes to look at my jigs off the pole mount live scope to see how deep I am.
Hey, use what you got to use, buddy. That's exactly what I would do. No doubt about it.
Brad, have you ever seen my chart that I've got out? I'd like to be curious if you actually use that chart any, and see how close I am to what you're seeing.
That would take the cheating out of it. If you had that chart that Brad has, that is the cheat sheet, brother. No more cheating if you have that. I can tell you right now, we had fish at Ross Barnett that were setting, and it was weird because that day they really were like that 12 to 14 foot range was dead on what those fish were setting. Usually my lake at Grand, they could be 10 foot to 25 and those fish will be all over that column, but these fish were setting 12 mainly. and he came by and they were shooting a video. And I was sitting there on my trolling motor looking. I said, "How deep you got him?" He said, "Should be about 12 foot." And they went by, and I'm not kidding you. That grid line on my live scope, that 12-foot line, these jigs, every one of them jigs just was grazing that 12-foot line. I'm like, how in the world you got them dead nut on 12 foot? So that is the cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Get you that thing. I guarantee it.
I'll post it on here. I'm not scared. Lee Meeks, looking to upgrade trolling motors. How do you like the Garmin while long lining? You're the only long liner I know with a Garmin. I'm running Tarova now, but looking to upgrade and hopefully to a better spot lock. I've been using the Garmin, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now, maybe even 3 now.
Warranty's about up.
Do what?
That warranty's about up.
Yeah. I've never had an issue. The remote's really easy. They have a little bit of different functions compared to Tarova as far as the remote itself, but it adjusts extremely well on a heading sensor, and that's really important whenever you're long lining. You can set a speed, say at 1.2, and it's going to keep you at 1.2 very, very consistently. So I think far as if you're wanting a long line a lot, you cannot go wrong with the Garmin. It's been a really good unit for me. The only problem I ever had with my Garmin was when I hit the edge of a pier head on with it, but that was more or less my fault. But
yeah, I've had a Garmin now probably 3 years as well, and I have put that poor thing through the ringer, beat it up bad, and it's still kicking. So 5-star rating for me on the Garmin. The only thing that I've seen a lot of people have problems with, and even I've went through 2 or 3 of them, is foot pedals. But other than that, the Garmin is great. It's done me well.
There's Wesley's report.
There we go.
He's catching fish on deep water flats. They're not schooling up and roaming around feeding heavily. We're catching singles that are very aggressive. We're also into the part of the year where fish feed heavily on fry. So I downsized to match the hatch and natural colors. And this dude is whacking them too over there. I know he's fishing several different lakes. And Wesley, you can comment and actually say some of the lakes that you've been doing really well on. That's kind of what I saw pattern-wise on Grenada, was a lot of single fish. And if they saw the bait, they were going to turn around and run it down. They didn't want it sitting still at all.
Were a lot of your fish moving? Like, were they running from the boat? Or
I don't think they were running. I don't think those fish spooked really hardly at all. I think they were on the move a lot there. Now we had to get behind them and kind of run them down. But as soon as if you could drop that bait and it would come by their head, they would whirl around and turn around and smoke it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a really good video that Carlos and I did. And like I said, we did live probably for, I don't know how many fish we caught while we were on TikTok live together as well the other day.
But there was a lot of fish. It was looking healthy.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of fish. Anywhere from, matter of fact, Friday, we had a lot of storms move through around lunchtime and really didn't want to run that 8 to 10 mile ride up the lake just because I knew it was going to get some severe thunderstorms around lunchtime. So I dropped down my trolling motor right there at Grenada Landing and went out and found fish right there at Grenada Landing, which there wasn't a lot, but I did catch keeper fish right there at Grenada Landing. And actually, that Wednesday afternoon, Carlos and I stopped in there, and I can't remember if he caught it or I caught it, but we caught it was 15.5-inch crappie that we tagged. I think it's going to be Crappie Forever tag 169. So if you ever catch Crappie Forever 169, look back on the little short that Carlos and I caught that fish.
That's
and we'll let it go for you guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you catch any tag fish while you were up there?
No, I did not.
Oh, got you.
Charles Henderson, Arkham Butler report, sinkhole on dam. I heard that. Lowering lake to 210 by June. Said it would take 3 years to repair. No wade fishing for a long time. I've heard that. That's a bad deal up there, I believe. Long run that, hopefully it doesn't affect that lake severely, but I know they're going to draw it down a lot to repair that dam. And
mercy.
it's just an emergency situation that's sad, but for the crappie fishermen, but definitely a necessity.
Will you be able to get a boat on it, you think?
I don't know. I mean, some of those guys will be able to understand that. I've seen Arca Butler when it's low in the fall, and I know just what I've seen of it drawn down in the fall, and I don't know how much further they would draw it. That lake gets extremely shallow, so I doubt it.
Man, yeah, that's no good. It may be good for the fish, it may not. You never know for that.
Yeah. There's Stephen. He's saying about an Enid Lake report. Enid was still mid-water temps in the 70s, catching good numbers and a few big ones, mostly in 8 to 12 foot of water, using a 1/8 redneck hair jig with flakes on a B&M black diamond, tagging the big ones. I saw you, Stephen, today. You actually tagged that one on Facebook. What tag number was it? We want to hear them tags, and that way we can say, hey, yeah, we talked about those fish back on today's bite. But, yeah, I mean, I fished Enid, I guess, over a week ago, and it was we long line jigs, and it was just a training day, and got to set a pattern on a new lake and kind of went in blind, and
that's fun.
It's a fun deal.
Yes.
I'm reading comments. Sorry, Dustin. I know you.
Appreciate y'all for the comments. Wish I could read them tonight. I'll get y'all taken care of next week.
All right. How do you set a minnow rig when single pole live scoping?
Oh, very good question. Man, people lace them all kinds of different ways, but I go through the mouth and out behind the back of the head. That's probably that's probably my favorite way to hook them is go through the mouth and out the back of the head, just like you would hook a jig. I hook it the same way. You go behind the head so you don't hit the brain and kill it, but you kind of take full control of the minnow, if that makes sense. But I also know a lot of people go through the gill plate without killing it, and then come out back around through the body and double hook it like that. And you keep your minnow a lot longer doing it that way as well.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm trying to think if I've used a live minnow.
You can also, hook them right through through the middle of the back. One of the best guys I know, Kel Ward, he says that he hooks them through the middle of the back and does really well doing that too. So I've never had luck doing that, but he says that's the golden ticket. So
you know, I would think just like I said about the 1/2 ounce egg sinker, and then drop down and use a Aberdeen hook, and kind of like Dustin said, I would try to hook it through the bottom and come back on the back right above the gut section, I guess you say, above the spine.
Yeah. And a lot of people hook up through the bottom of the mouth, through the top of the head, or through the eyeballs. All that works pretty well. I really don't.
Go ahead.
You go.
Oh, okay. You know, I've seen on live scope, and I think it's been 2 years ago since I really used minnows on live scope, that I noticed if you got a really lively minnow, it was actually kind of working against you. So if we would really pick out some of the dead ones or not as active minnows so we could place that. Because if I'm going to use a minnow, it's going to be in really severe conditions.
Yeah. Dead minnow definitely works best. I'll tell you that much. A dead minnow is the best minnow for sure. If you have a really lively, pumped up minnow, it sounds kind of bad, but give it a couple flicks in the head or kill it, and you'll do a little bit better.
Steve
Reynolds, I've watched them on live scope run away from the crappie for a time and wear them out.
Steve asked, do you ever use weedless jig heads? You know, I haven't a whole lot.
I haven't either.
I definitely think there's probably some good ones out there.
There's a place for them too.
There definitely be a place, but most of the time whenever I'm fishing brush piles, we try to bring the jigs right over the top of the brush pile itself and not try to get really all the way up into them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I go. Brian Avery, he's a tournament guy. He's asking about the color limit settings. I know I keep mine on 80, if that helps you out.
I can't even tell you what. I think mine's 70 something. I don't even know.
Tony Skeens wanting to know how he can get one of those BG shirts.
Ooh, good question, pal. If you see him at a any type of booth at a show, you might be able to snag one. Or does LureNet have them? I don't think LureNet.com has them. No, they don't. That's a good question. You come give me a hug and I'll get you one.
Hey. I seen there's Ken Robinson. He said we outed him about the Amber Romance. I know he was asking that night after I mentioned the first one. He went and bought a bunch of it. So yeah, I guess I did out you there.
We did. We just threw him right under, didn't we?
Yeah, we did throw him under the bus.
Y'all ever need any though? He carries it everywhere he goes. You know, concealed and carry that Amber Romance. He is. I'm talking one of the most scared of them dang flies. I think they love him though, because I'll be sitting in the boat with him and he'll go to jumping and kicking because them flies will bite him and I won't get bite. So I think he's just a little sweeter than I am or something.
Jay Carr, he's another one of my Ross Barnett brotherhoods there. I've been seeing his truck the last 2 mornings at the boat ramp, which he's getting there earlier than me, and looks like he's leaving earlier than me every day.
Uh-oh.
So he's asking me to leave one at his truck. I'm not. What do you want me to leave at your truck, Jay? Really? I'll be there. What do you need, Jay? Let me help you out.
Because Jay, he won't do it without a hug. I promise you.
Paul Barnett, we're gonna cause family problems selling men about wear perfume. You know, if it keeps you out from itching all night, so you know you'll thank us later. Just have to explain it to your wife, and don't give her my number. Give her Dustin's. Appreciate everybody coming on again tonight. I see about 180 people between the 2 platforms. Cannot thank you enough for every single night y'all join in. There's Bob Grantham.
Also, thank you, Bobby Garland, getting you guys that discount. And
what's the code again?
Today's bite 15, guys. We'll get you 15%
on the Mayflies.
LureNet.com.
If you want to try the Mayflies, go ahead and hit them up. Let them know in the comments on your order. Hey, we listened to the guys on Crappie Connection on today's bite. Let them know where you're getting these discount codes, which they probably know with today's bite discount code.
Me and Brad are going to go on there after this and buy a bunch to try to make us look better. So if you guys could jump on, we'd appreciate it.
I'm trying to make sure I didn't leave any questions out.
If we missed any, guess what, guys? We do it next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and we'll be there. Be there, be square. Hopefully we just next Tuesday I'll have good fishing report.
You know, I see the Cajun, the Crappie Cajun LLC, and I believe he's from Toledo Bend, if my memory plays right. He just posted you guys a link to the Amazon Amber Romance. So look in the comments. Hey, appreciate their Crappie Cajun for doing that for everybody watching tonight. And I don't think Amazon cares where you ordered it from or who you heard it from.
We need to get LureNet to sell that Amber Romance.
I'll make sure. And I actually had Lee Dalco, buddy of mine here on the res. He actually sent me a picture a second ago to make sure he showed you a suckerfish, Dustin. So I'm gonna put it.
Oh my gosh, that's what I like to hear.
Text message.
Now this better be a suckerfish. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Look at he's got that good-looking sun hoodie on there too.
Yeah, he does. That is funny. Thanks for the picture, brother.
Yeah, Dalco. I've seen Dalco. I think catch that fish.
Hey, you know what's funny is I just had clients out 2 days ago that do that. They go snagging for suckerfish. The limit is 20 a person, and they go out there. It's like a holiday. They line up on the banks and whack them. They say the more people you get on the banks, the more you can bounce those schools around, keep them moving. They snag the heck out of them. Some good eating there.
Let's see. Make sure I'm catching anybody. There's Dalco. Man, I must be way behind you guys. Let me see if I can. God, I am.
I guarantee you're way behind because I could tell when you read Sasquatch's report. I guarantee you get right after we asked.
Which is good. There's Stephen Sullivan. He said his tags today went from 853 to 858, all over 15-inch this week on Enid Lake. So there's some numbers to look out for crappie forever. That's another thing that if you guys haven't checked out crappieforever.com, that's where we have some of the Crappie Connection merchandise at. We kind of teamed up with those guys. It's an organization I really believe in, and I believe what they stand for, and that's why we're supporting them as well, what we're doing. I will tell you that we've got 2 new Sun hoodies coming out here shortly that I looked at last week. One is what would you call that name, April? My assistant over here.
What is it?
The colors for the new hoodies.
Gray and black.
One's like that. Yeah, that's very good there, April.
Surely you wouldn't forget gray and black.
Well, there's another terminology to those, I believe, that we forgot. But
that was funny.
Dark colors, just because, like I've been saying over last year, and some other people let me know too, but darker colors help me out, keep the glare down whenever I'm live scoping. So if you're fishing with me the next month or so, make sure you wear dark color clothes. Tony Ski definitely wants to give you a hug. I see him commented just then.
My man.
Slab Queen keeps her color limit on 0. Charlie Bluer Weedless. Kent Williams. Kent's a guide over in Arkansas. He's got a report. Horseshoe Lake in Arkansas. Crappie are finished spawning and are still in the 4 to 6 foot of water. Looking around piers or pads. Orange Crush, Black Minnow jigs have been the ticket. Appreciate it there, Kent. Ask where you can get the Mayfly. And I'm going to put here on the screen. That way you can see that, guys. And I'm going to mention that again before we get off. Special thanks, as always, to Bobby Garland Baits for supporting the Crappie Connection today's bite. These guys really stood behind this and make sure that, we're giving you what you need to catch fish. But www.lurenet.com, 15% off all the Mayflies.
Yeah.
With
you guys are
code today's bite 15.
You guys are the only people in the world that are watching this tonight that get to get 15% off their Mayflies. So go on there and get you some. Pretty special deal there.
That's about all I got tonight. Appreciate everybody coming in and
Thank you much.
Joining in as always. All these different guides that help us out every week. Appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you hit subscribe. Got some really good videos in the pipes coming out right now. Like I said, me fishing by myself on Ross Barnett, Carlos and I on Grenada. Did a podcast with Dan Mueller and Kirby Ham on basic Garmin functions, which is going to be really, really good for guys. Let me see what else I got. I did another video with the guys with Crappie Forever on tagging some crappie after Magnolia's weigh in. So we've got some more good stuff with Crappie Connection. If you got some stuff that you'd like to see us record on the lake, Dustin's shooting videos right now just as well as I am.
I wish that I could just take Brad's and count it. But yeah, guys, we're going to get it going. So stay tuned. Hopefully some good stuff coming.
Discount code, like I said again, I'm going to see if I have it posted anywhere. That way I can put it on the screen.
Today's bite 15.
Today's bite 15. It's good between now and midnight on Sunday night.
There we go.
Appreciate everybody. Until next time, you got Brad Chappell. Holler.
Yo, Dustin, keep it crappie.
Keep it crappie. Appreciate you guys. See you next week.